Roger and I were at Bud's Beach actually with my dad and Gail about 3.5 months ago, and we were kind of talking about this idea because there's just stuff that's important to us here. So we lived in Hong Kong for a while, and I saw people, hundreds of thousands of people marching so that they could have the right to vote. And I suppose coming back to the Gold Coast, you get a sense of how precious your democracy is. And the way I look at it, our democracy is only as good as people who stand up and say something. So that's why we went, right, okay, we'll give this a bash. So the things that are particularly important to me is to use the skills that I've got when I talk about the ability, financial background, corporate governance background, and a reasonable legal understanding to go into bat for residents. So they're kind of the rules, they're the games. We've got a $1.2 billion budget. It's about the size of a top 200, top 250 company on the on the ASX. So we've got a very sizable budget that we've got to deal with. And when there's these issues, which a lot of you are here because you've got very specific issues you're dealing with in your community groups, and you're here as leaders for that, as we know, it often gets down to that very legal or technical reason for why or why not residents are going to get hurt. So I do want to use that. In terms of my vision, it's really about the Gold Coast being a boutique, world-class city. And for me, what that means is when I live 10 minutes drive from the beach, that means that I can get to the beach by public transport in 10 minutes rather than an hour and 45 minutes. It means that my son, who's 5 now, who loves robots, when he gets to 17 after a great, or 20 after a great education, doesn't have to go to another city or another country to study robotics. So my dad was always a small business owner on the coast, and I get that that's what this city's made on. Well, it's not going to change. That's not going to change. And this place is a history of being the playground for Australians. People come up for their family holidays, and although we've had major booms with Japanese tourists, and now we see booms with Chinese tourists, that's something that's got to be held dear. That we are a playground for Brisbane people, Melbourne people who come here, and we've got to respect that. But what I see is that I want to see a boutique world-class city that is recognised and known for putting its residents first. And what I'm seeing with doing my homework as well is there's amazing work that's already been done in the council. That transport strategy 2031 that we're talking about, we're 5 years in, that was created 2011. But the hard work hasn't been done to get that implemented. The work that does in terms of creating bikeways and active ways and the like. So I don't have to be a brilliant engineer or town planner. There's other people who do that work, but I'm going to go into that for that. And then on the independence thing, for me, it's just absolutely crucial. You're there to be an advocate and stand for residents, so you can't really be there and stand for anyone else at the same time. It doesn't work. So that's why if I get in as councillor, I'll be standing and making a request that there's a separate corporate governance committee, which is a stand for accountability and transparency, and I'll be putting my hand up to chair that. So thank you very much for coming today. This has been very much, I've knocked on 2,000 doors now, and I intend to knock on probably another 3,000 or 4,000 doors before the election day. But there's no very sophisticated machine behind me, that's for sure. It's very much democracy in action at its smallest level. But what I have experienced doing that is getting to meet residents who are very committed to this city in different areas. I'm just effectively, what I see if I get in, I'm just a conduit for that. My mobile number that's going to be on the councillor page is the same, that's my mobile number. My email address is my email address, right? And my job is to be connected and then to go on. So thank you, everybody. What I would love, if you are aligned with what I'm saying, the biggest way that you can support me is spread the word. Wear this horrific t-shirt when you go pick up your newspaper on a Saturday morning. It actually makes a really big difference. If you're willing to buy a $5 bumper sticker and put it on your car for 3 months, I promise I paid up to get the kind of sticker that doesn't wreck your glass and will actually come off. But the main thing is I'm told I need 120 people on election day to hand stuff out, and that's basically so that people don't have to be there for 10 hours, but if you would be willing to come and put 2 or 3 hours in on that day, that would make an extraordinary difference. So thanks again.